Welcome to Galaxy Tenants Burning Man Chronicles Chapter 4. On this episode, we head into the multiverse for a conversation with Porta Potty preacher and pirate radio host Elder Wrong and his second-in-command Merizona. As well, we feature a couple of songs by family Funktion and the Sitar jams titled A-Sharp 1 and Bombay Boogie.
When I ran into you in BRCVR at the gates and you asked if you could do the interview with me and whatnot, and I found your background story to be super, super interesting. Can you talk a little bit about your history and how you ended up finding Burning Man? And for those who are listening at home, this is Elder Wrong.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having us on the show. This is a lot of fun. I like doing this. So my Burning Man history. So I'm Elder Wrong, the Porta Potty preacher. I've been going to burning. My first burn was 2011. However, I was introduced to Burning Man 10 years prior to going. So about 2001, I was living in Ogden, Utah in an art gallery with a buddy of mine. And one of our friends, her name, she goes by the name Ranger Honey, would go to Burning Man every year. And she was a ranger at Burning Man. She had a 15-year-old daughter who she would leave at home, and she gave me here's the keys to my house. If my daughter gets locked out while I'm gone, let her back in and kind of keep an eye on her, make sure she's not getting pregnant and throwing parties while I'm at Burning Man, So I was introduced to Burning Man back in about 2001 through the art community in Utah, who constantly were asking me, you should go to Burning Man. You are such a burner already. I'm living in an art gallery. We're doing basically, without knowing it, we were doing Burning Man at the time in our art gallery. I'd wake up on Wednesday late morning to mariachi classes going on downstairs. Tuesday mornings we were holding figure drawing sessions where if we didn't have a model, I'd take my clothes off and get in front of all these 50-something artist ladies who would draw my portrait for 3 hours. But I had just left religion at the time, so I'm an ex-Mormon who grew up Mormon, went on a mission in Poland back in the early 90s. And so this whole idea of religion just really kind of threw me off. And hearing my friends talk about this magical, transformative event that they would go to every year out in the desert, I was just like, dude, that just sounds like another religion to me. I don't know if I'm really up to, jumping ship from this one cult and jumping into another cult right off the bat. And so it kind of threw me off for a couple of years about going. And then I moved to Oregon, to Eugene, Oregon, and met a burner there through roller derby. Her name is Quick and Deadly. She's a gate person, been doing gate forever and ever. And I basically fell in love with her. Me and her eventually got married. And she took me to my first Burning Man event in 2011. We didn't camp together. We were in a village together. We're part of 404 Village Not Found, and we're located at about the 3 o'clock BC area every year. But she camped in a MASH 4207th, which is a MASH TV show based theme camp. And I'm also ex-military. So the idea of oh man, I have to wear a uniform again, that doesn't sound cool. So I camped in the camp next to her, which was Playa Waste Raiders. And we had separate camps and kind of, and fought the whole time because it was my virgin year. She's been going at that time for 10 years. She's been going for Burning Man 18 years. This would have been her 18th burn had it been held. Mm-hmm. And so I was off like a butterfly. I just wanted to go see, and she just kind of wanted to stay in camp and drink PBR and work. And we fought a lot that first week and then came together and actually got married in Reno on the way home, which was a good idea, bad idea. We were in Reno on the way home, and I'm like, I would marry you today. And she's like, I would too. All right, well, let's get married. So we ran off to the Justice of the Peace and got married right after my first Burning Man. And we were together for a good 10 years, and we're divorced now, but she's still one of my best friends, and she's my family, and I love her to death.
Oh, that's great.
And so after my second burn, I ran. There was this weird lady in our village who would run around to the porta potties with a bunch of people, and her name is Robbie Dobbs, and Robbie Dobbs is playa famous. She's super amazing. She was in charge of this weird department of DPW called Potty Project. You know, I hadn't been volunteering anything yet. My first year, I didn't volunteer for anything. I just hung around and did the virgin thing and run around with these big eyeballs going, whoa, you know. And so she asked me if I was interested in volunteer with the Potty Project. I had no idea what that was. And I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. And we ran around the porta potties with a couple other volunteers with megaphones and bullhorns and yelling the message of leave no trace. And she had all these flyers to put on the porta potties about leave no trace. And if it doesn't come out of your body, it doesn't go out of the potty. And I fell in love with it. And I just absolutely fell in love with what she had created and what she was doing. And so I volunteered every year. And she eventually retired from her vacation. She had been going to Burning Man since about 1998, 99. Old-time burner from forever, and just kind of wanted to retire from it. So she put the keys to the department in my lap. And for the past 5 years or so, I've been in charge of Potty Project on the playa.
So that's great. So I want to, without glossing over it, I want to talk a little bit about, you told me a story about being Mormon and towards the end of your time with the faith, a story that happened on 9/11. I don't know if you want to share that story.
Oh, how I lost faith?
Yeah, I would love that, just because I think that's an important part of how this story goes.
Mormonism was a big part. I grew up Mormon, and my mom and my dad and a couple of my siblings, big family, 10 kids, and served a Mormon mission in Poland back in the early 90s. I was actually one of the first Mormon missionaries to Poland after the Berlin Wall fell down. Like, crap, I was there within 2 years of the wall coming down in Berlin. I was in this country, which is actually my heritage. My grandmother immigrated from Poland just before World War II. She grew up as a little girl in a little farming village in southern Poland. And so I had this opportunity to go be in Poland for 2 years and did that back in the early 90s. Matter of fact, and then Elder Wrong is actually kind of a play off of all that experience. My last name is Wright. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when my first year at Burning Man, when I was kind of creating my character and who I was, it was like, who would I be now, like, as that Mormon missionary? Well, I was Elder Wright back then. Oh, I'm Elder Wrong now. So Elder Wrong was kind of was born out of that. So 9/11 happened, and at the time I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out with religion and faith. I've been going to college at the time, you know, being exposed to a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different religions, stuff like that. So this idea already of like one true truth for everybody in the world was already kind of sitting wrong with me. And 9/11 happened, and I was in the military at the time. I was married with 2 young kids, and we get a knock on our door right at that time, right on the day of 9/11. And it was the what they're called home teachers. It was like 2 guys from the church coming over. You know, which I thought was weird, because like here I am with my family just in shock of what was happening in our country, with all the people that have died. Being in the military at the time, you know, my thoughts were thinking, we're going to go to war. Am I going to be deployed? Am I going to be taken away from my kids and my family for years and years and years while we're doing this? And just reeling with what was happening. And these 2 elders from our church stopped by, which in itself wouldn't have been a bad thing. You know, here's faith, here's religion. It would have been an opportunity to go, hey, you know, we're we're going through a faith crisis right now in our country with what's going on. We came to see if you're okay. We came to see if we could pray with you, if we could commune with you, if there's anything your family needs. No, they came to my door to bug me because I hadn't been to church in 3 months. You know, and they wanted me to invite me back to church or some potluck or something like that.
This was unfolding on 9/11.
On 9/11,
that was the day to come by.
That was the day to come by to say, why haven't you been to church in a while? And that moment struck me about how sometimes blind faith to religion can cause us to be robots. I saw 2 robots at that point. Not 2 human beings who cared about me and my family or cared about me as like a brother in the faith or whatever, but 2 robots who had a task of, oh, you haven't been to church in a while. Now is a good time to come over and bug you, you know? And I'm thinking, like, why are you bugging me? Why aren't you with your family, trying to console your wife and your kids and to try to make sense of what was happening today? You know, the world changed that day. Absolutely. It changed 100%. And it was a time to like have compassion and to be human with one another rather than worrying about, are you doing these little check boxes?
Right.
And that day ended it for me. I decided that day is like, no, like religion, this organized religion thing was just not for me. I did not want to be that. I did not want to be around people like that. I wanted to be human, and I wanted to be around other human beings too.
I really appreciate you telling that story. I found that to be really an interesting perspective and an interesting story. Let's fast forward 10 years, so a decade later. Now you found Burning Man, and one thing I will say about Burning Man is, and I find myself contributing to this in some fashion, is it does feel like a cult, which is what you kind of alluded to a little bit before. When you talk about Burning Man, you're telling people about Burning Man, you get so excited, and then the conversation's elevated, and then you're just blah, 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 blah. 10 minutes later, the person hasn't responded or said a fucking word, and you're wondering if they want to sign up. You know, are you coming to Burning Man or not?
The burner missionary zeal, right? Yeah.
So everybody who goes to Burning Man, I feel like in some capacity has a little bit of that, you know? Yeah. So when you found Burning Man and, you know, you were initially saying like, oh, I don't need another cult. What was your first impression of Burning Man? And was it the cult that you expected?
No, and it's because I got lucky. I got lucky because of the people who I camped with. I think 10 years prior to going to Burning Man, I had some issues, right? A lot of the burners who I knew 10 years beforehand, what they did in real life was, like in default world, was like back then, it was before the 2008 crash. They flipped houses for a living, which I don't have you make your money how you make your money, and I get that. But their default world and the way they kind of presented Burning Man to me kind of threw me off too. It was like their default job was basically going to find people who are behind on their mortgage payments so that you could short sell the house, you know, and basically take their equity. And they did this so that they could have this party in the desert, you know, like for 2 weeks out of the year, 1 week out of the year, they would go to the desert and be their real self, right? And to me, I like these guys. They were fun to party with. They were fun to hang out with. But to me, that seemed highly hypocritical, right? Like, and here I am. I'm living in an art gallery. I've got mariachi classes going on Wednesday. I've got, you know, we're throwing art events every weekend. We've got artists who I'm hanging out with and jazz musicians coming in to practice their music, going downstairs next door to listen to these awesome musicians every single week.
I was living the art life. Yeah, exactly.
I was. Yeah. And I didn't care. I had no money at the time. You know, like every so often I had kind of a computer business, and I'd make some money before 2008 crash went all the way. I'd make my money here and there, fixing computers for people, or going to Carl's Jr. installing point of sales and this type of stuff. But the vast majority of my life at that point was living in the art world and not really caring about the material things. I think at the time, everything that I owned could fit into my Volkswagen Vanagon.
There's something beautiful about that.
And my life's a lot different now, but back then that's the way it was. And so it threw me off back then, the hypocrisy of let's not be material, gift and economy, and we care about one another. But in the default world, to me, they were doing something, like I said, if you do that for a living, that's fine. I know a lot of people who flip houses and stuff like that. But if your focus is on the material all year round, except for this little vacation that you take once a year for 1 week, then how is that beneficial? And
you're not living the life. You're not walking the walk. And at that point, it's just kind of like an escapism. Like, I'm going to go pretend to be something that I'm going to claim is really me for only 1 week out of the year, and the other 51 weeks, that's not me. That's someone else. That's not me.
Yeah. And when I moved to Oregon and got introduced to the village I was a part of, that wasn't the attitude that they had. They weren't out there for the desert or for the party. They liked to party. They liked to get drunk. We had an awesome bar camp that we would throw parties every day of the week at Burning Man and stuff like that. But these were workers, man. They were out there to fucking create. And that's what Burning Man was for them, was to create these awesome theme camps, to go work your ass off at Gate. All my friends are Gate at Burning Man, and they do not sleep. Oh my God. It's like you're watching, they're putting in 60 hours a week of their vacation at Gate, and Perimeter, and loving it. And they were out there to create something, not to consume something. And so that put me in this creative mode of like, oh yeah, I'm an artist. Oh yeah, I love to create. Oh yeah, I want to contribute to that too. And right off the bat, even with my first year, it was like, what can I do to contribute to my theme camp? What can I do to contribute to the village? What can I do to volunteer? And so it was just I think the people in my village kind of put me in a different light, because these were people who, in my opinion, they were living Burning Man. They lived Burning Man outside of Burning Man, and they lived Burning Man at Burning Man. They were not tourists. They were not there. They were there to be a part of it, to contribute to it, and have a great time doing it. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what changed it for me. I think that's what the difference was. And so going back to Burning Man with that attitude of like, look at what I can create rather than look at what I can consume, changed my life. Put me back in that mindset of creativity, of creation, of contribution, and ultimately of community.
Sure. That's one of the most beautiful aspects of Burning Man, is that community. I was talking to David Cooper from BMIR. He's the propaganda director over there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he and I came to the consensus that our least favorite aspect of Burning Man are the porta potties. That was the single worst part. I know. So before I get out my shovel and start digging, hold on. So I think it's really interesting, number one, that you've taken something that most people hate and you've turned it into a passion. Now, I've shown up at porta potties. I've opened the door expecting the worst. And there's a scene from Star Trek or Game of Thrones, or it's a junglescape, and all of that wonderful reading material is spread all over about, what not to put down the potty and everything. Tell me, how the fuck are you passionate about porta potties? Where did this come from? How did this unfold?
I'm gonna go back to Robbie Dobbs, and why I'm passionate about it. Robbie Dobbs, who I love to death, and who is quasi-playa famous. Like, she's been interviewed by BMIR, Jackrabbit Speaks. Like, everyone in the Burning Man organization basically know who Robbie Dobbs is because of what she did. Go ahead.
Explain the history of Robbie Dobbs.
Yeah, I'm going to explain the history of Robbie Dobbs and why. So, but Robbie Dobbs, like most of us.
Do you want to introduce yourself too now that,
this
that you've
is
jumped into the
Merizona.
conversation? Come on in.
She's my number 2.
Yes. Hi, I'm Merizona. I am the number 2
of the Potty Project.
Number 1 business on the playa. Yeah. And yeah, I'm his cohort in the Potty Project. So that's kind of where I fall into this a little bit, but it's mostly about Elder Wrong. So go ahead.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to explain Robbie Dobbs a little bit because she is the reason behind the passion. Robbie Dobbs, like most of us burners, she is a character who follows the beat of her own drum, right? She has been a long-time burner from the early days of Burning Man, at least around 2000 or 2000. I'm not exactly sure when her first burn was, but way back there, like at least 20 years worth of Burning Man for her. And she's volunteered in about every single department. She's volunteered with Gate, with Rangering, with with the coffee camp, with center camp, with all these different things. And she always had a hard time kind of, quote, fitting in, right? Now, that's funny that I say that about Burning Man, because we're supposed to be about wild self-expression, right? About being your own person. And yet you go, and I'm not knocking it. Like, I've done my shifts at Gate and have tried that and have a lot of Ranger friends, a lot of different that. But there are all these uniforms, DPW, Gate, Ranger, center camp, greeters. Everyone's got like a uniform. And there's there's a little bit of conformity going on around that. Temple Guardians, to be able to kind of make these tribes, right? We'll call them tribes within Burning Man, who do important, wonderful work that I love and adore. And like I was saying, these are the people that got me to my first year to open my eyes out about what this event is about. Robbie Dobbs didn't want that. She ended up finding a job that no one wanted, and that was the Potty Project. The Potty Project was started in the 2000 burn at DPW by DPW because we absolutely destroyed the porta potties that year, and and it became like such a horror. They call it the poo apocalypse, but it became such a horrible thing. You think the porta potties are bad now? Back in 2000, they were bad. There were people were just throwing whatever in it and really pissing off our vendors. So they had to start this campaign of marketing about the porta potties, take care of the porta potties. So Robbie Dobbs saw this opening basically, and created her own department at Burning Man. Saw a need, jumped into that need, became passionate about it for the last 20 years. And made it her own thing rather than doing things the way that other people do. And to me, that is about the most fucking burniest thing I have ever seen at Burning Man, is somebody doing that. Is like, I see a need, I have talents, I'm going to take this over and make it my passion and make it my burn to take care of this need at Burning Man so that I can be a part of it according to how I want to do it, not how other people are going to tell me to do it. So she created her own department, and that inspiration and that meaning of Burning Man really resonated with me in terms of what I want, how I wanted to burn, what my passion was going to be, how I was going to contribute to our city in a positive way. So that's the reason why that passion grew inside of me. It was because of Robbie Dobbs, and her passion.
So what are some of the responsibilities of the project?
Well, we are a sub-department of DPW.
Which, just for folks who don't know, is the Department of Public Works.
They are the wonderful, excellent, very important people who go out before Burning Man to build the city and to build the infrastructure for us so that when we go out there, porta potties are out there, center camp is built, the roads are created, we have places for our camps and stuff like that. And I hope one year I get that opportunity to go be a part of that too. But that's what Department of Public Works does.
Okay, and you guys fall under Department of Public Works?
We fall underneath of that. Okay. My boss, I report directly to the purchasing guru for Burning Man, a fellow named Hazmat. And so he's kind of taken it under his wing to make sure we get the resources that we need, that we do. So
so what are some of the responsibilities then of your organization?
Our organization, our volunteer group, our main mission and purpose is one of promoting porta potties, proper use of porta potties, and respecting our sanitation system out there. There are 80,000 of us, and about 1,700 porta potties at Burning Man. We're one of the largest events in terms of porta potty usage. We're one of the largest events in the world, and it's what we have. So our job out there is to hopefully get the word out, to remind people, and to get other people to love and care about the porta potties, so that United Site Services, who are absolute gods out there, it makes their job easier. And so that idea of minimal impact is really, really important with our sanitation in our city.
It's interesting because I think a lot of people, they don't see the big picture of an event like this. Everything shows up, everything is taken away, everything kind of just has its place, and they take it for granted. Now, let's say there's another poo apocalypse or another, something like that could be the end of an event like Burning Man.
Oh, absolutely.
If the porta potties are not maintained, the event can't function.
No,
that's it.
We generate the equivalent of shit and pee out there. We generate the equivalent of 8 747s worth of human waste our 2 weeks out on the playa.
Well, that's a delightful visual.
Yeah, huge. And United Site Services is in charge of making sure that all that gets transported off-site and disposed of in a proper way.
Are they Reno-based?
They are Reno-based. All our porta potties live in Reno off-season on about an acre of land out there. We actually own those porta potties. The event does. They get rented out to other events and stuff like that. But the playa is where porta potties go to die. Basically, that's why sometimes doors are broken, and the playa takes no prisoners when it comes to anything, including our porta potties. So
it makes perfect sense that they would be owned by the organization itself, because some of those do get destroyed.
They do.
By the end of the week. No doors, just wrecked. It's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
How the fuck does that happen? What happens where you go into a porta potty and just shred the thing and then take the door with you? How does that happen?
Well, I don't think it's our participants. It's the nature of the environment that we're at. The playa dust and the wind and everything is just, a door can get ripped off. We get gusts of like crap. I mean, I've seen carports fly away down the block at Burning Man when you get a gust of wind.
Oh yeah, it's chaos out there for sure.
So like it's really easy for a gust of wind to just grab the door the right way and just rip it off and fly it to Reno. It's possible. So I'm actually pretty, like, in terms of our participants, people who attend Burning Man, having visited all 1,700 porta potties every single year, I'm actually quite impressed with the amount of people that we have, how well people do respect, and that ethos of leave no trace, that ethos of communal responsibility really plays a big part in terms of, they could be a lot worse than they are. They're not the best. I get that. Like pooping in a porta potty at Burning Man is an experience that we all get to participate in at some point or another. And it's not the most pleasant thing in the world to do. I get that, but they could be a whole lot worse. And the reason why they're not is because Burning Man participants are awesome. You know,
I'm really glad to hear that.
They do a good job loving their porta potties.
I'm really glad to hear that, because I wasn't sure. Because when you see those just wrecked porta potties, you got to wonder, how did this happen? So
how did this happen?
Yeah, I'm glad that you don't think it was just participants. Yeah.
Yeah, we as volunteers, we try to make that fun. Some of the things that we do at Burning Man is we have one of the largest ongoing art projects on the playa, with our poo art and our poetry and our poo haiku,
which is not made with poo. Let's just
no, not at all. These are flyers that were created originally by Robbie Dobbs. And what I do with my volunteers pre-burn, if anyone is interested in doing this, is I like creating more of these potty flyers, these leave no trace potty flyers. And what we try to do pre-event is hit every 1,700 porta potties with one of our flyers. We're starting to do stickers so that they're more permanent, and then we can go and take the bad ones down and put up new ones every year and stuff like that. But if you're interested in creating a porta potty flyer about Leave No Trace, you can contact me at elderwrong at gmail.com, and I can give you information. I'll take your whatever artwork that you have and convert it into either flyers or stickers, and then try to get you to come out with us to put those in the porta potties, and then you become part of the permanent art piece of the porta potties out at Burning Man, and also be able to do good within the community as well.
Yeah.
So it's one way that I encourage participation is with that.
I love that you brought this up. I'm a graphic designer and do a lot of graphic design work and stickers and posters and all kinds of stuff like that. So I want to right now commit my involvement to your project. I'll send you over some stuff when we're going to be going back out, and I would love to help put some stuff up next time we're out in the playa.
We would love to have you, and we would love to have your art as part of it. Keep in mind, porta potty related and leave no trace message. That's what we're aiming for.
I'll talk to you about it after this and get some of the specs on it and all that, and I would love to contribute to that project because I think that's a wonderful thing.
Then during the week, what we do is we actually visit the porta potties as a group and play with participants. We try to have different theme days where we might have the poo. What was it? I
was the human bidet.
She's the human bidet. So she walks around with us at the porta potties with a little water sprayer to squirt people in the rear end when they come out of the porta potties, or
with consent. I asked them if they've been extra dirty and if they want spray today. Yeah.
I'm the porta potty preacher, so I'll have a bullhorn and I'll do porta potty sermons at the porta potties. Here's some she's got some of the stickers that we put out there. Some of the past art. So they're big.
They're like big flyers, and so we want the to stick on the portos. And
can you describe one or two of them to the folks who are listening who won't be able to see this visual?
I took one of the ones that I've done is one of the themes that I have is Porta Potty Jesus, and I'm sure everyone has seen Porta Potty Jesus at this point. So I've taken old religious flyers that I used to have when I was a Mormon and turned them into, like this one is, even Jesus hates flushable wipes in the porta potties. Don't have Jesus hate you. Ziplocs for your wipes and take them back to your camp. The Potty Project. That one's one of my favorites. I like because it's a really, really stern look of Jesus, and I usually like putting it right on the door. At the eye level, so that when you're taking a shit, you got Jesus looking at you going, don't put that flushable wipe in the porta potty. So
I love that imagery.
It's kind of that type of stuff. We do Porta Potty Pirate Radio. That's something that we've been starting over the last couple of years. So that's
let's talk about that. Tell me just a little bit about what that means, and also tell me about your website where you're doing some streaming radio as well.
Yeah, I love pirate radio. I got involved with the pirate radio station here in Phoenix, Arizona a few years ago by a guy named Captain Hook, who was broadcasting illegally on 87.9 in Phoenix called KWFUCC. And I listened to his show a couple times and was like, oh, I want to do this. So I contacted him and he said, yeah, just record something and send it to me. So I did a bunch of these Elder Wrong shows for pirate radio here and kind of started learning about the technology and got in contact with some of the people out at Burning Man who do pirate radio. Gary, I can't remember Gary's last name. He's kind of in charge of assigning people frequencies out there. Got myself a little 25 watt radio transmitter and we broadcast at Burning Man 24/7 at 103.3 FM. KWPPR. We are the only pirate radio station dedicated to porta potties at Burning Man. Usually it's music I like, so I'm playing a lot of Grateful Dead, and one of the ways that people can contribute to the pirate radio station is, again, contact me and send me the music you want to listen to, and we'll throw it on the server and make sure it gets played at Burning Man.
I would love to send you some stuff next time too, to play on the radio, some fucking obscure stuff.
Yeah, we'll get I'll get a Dropbox going, and we'll talk a little bit later, and you can drop some of your stuff so I can throw it on the server.
I love it.
So we do that. I like interviewing people when I can. I walk around with a little voice when I'm not at. Well, sometimes when we are doing Potty Project, I'll walk around to the porta potties and interview people and record people about their potty experience and throw that on the line. Sometimes we're back at our camp just getting drunk and I think we had one show in 2019 of we had music going in the live mic, and it was her popping zits off of my back for about an hour. The zit popping show with Merizona and Elder Wrong, and sometimes I get to interview cool people who I run into. I think one year we got to interview Laura Kempton.
Oh, nice.
She was riding her bike past our camp one morning. She saw our pirate radio sign. And she said, oh, you're a pirate radio guy. I'm a famous artist. Do you want to interview me? And I'm all like, oh, fuck yeah, I want to interview you. Just a second. Let me get all my stuff. And so we had about an hour conversation with Laura Kempton about her art at Burning Man, which was that was a highlight of our burn. She gave us special little necklace, little parts of her love art piece that was out there.
I love her work.
And told us everything. Yesterday in the BRCVR, we ran into
Kate Radenbush.
Kate Radenbush at her art piece, you know.
Did she do Helios or which?
Yeah.
That's a stunning piece of work.
And so Merizona's all like, she's famous. We just saw her in that documentary. We should interview her. I'm like, yeah, go up to her, ask her if she would. And we're, I don't know what to say. So I walked up to her and said, hey, I do pirate radio. Do you mind if we have a brief little interview with you about your piece? And she's like, yeah, sure. It was one of holy cow, like this VR stuff.
So this is perfect, because this is where I want to go in the conversation too, is where we're building towards. So without Burning Man happening this year, they've released all these different VR worlds. Have you guys experienced any of the other ones, or has it been mainly BRC VR?
It's mainly been BRC VR. I mean, I want to go check out the Half-Life one. I think we tried to do the what was the multi.
We tried to Dusty Multiverse on the phone, and it was interesting.
It's not working on my phone. It works on her phone, but for me, I can't get the motion sensor to work. So I'm just riding around looking at the playa. So that gets boring after a while.
That interface is very video formatted, as far as it's very centered around performances, DJ sets, music through the videos. And, the experience of the playa itself, to me, is lacking, especially relative to BRC VR, where it's very true to the feel of Burning Man. And you get to have those community interactions with folks, kind of like how you and I interacted. And now,
and you just randomly bump into people and have, quote, playa experiences. I mean, the one last night with Kate, that was a playa experience. And it was a very, she gave me goosebumps talking about her art. She was amazing. And
it's incredible work.
And wow, what a wonderful, that's an experience. Had I had that on the playa, it was just as meaningful in the VR world, having that experience with her as it would have been had I bumped into her on the playa by chance.
It's a very cool thing.
The other aspect I love about it is the interactivity in terms of creativity. It's a totally open world to be able to create your own theme camp.
I was going to ask you. So two things. One, I'm doing a speaking engagement on podcasting tomorrow, but I would love if you would join me as a special guest and kind of talk a little bit about pirate radio and incorporating some of that into the discussion. How was the experience of building within the alt space platform? Did you find it to be pretty user-friendly and easy, or were there a lot of steps that you had to jump through to get your product, which your camp is very cool, by the way?
It depends. It depends what, I am not a 3D designer, right? I am not an expert at Blender or Unity or any of these 3D platforms. I just barely bought myself this Oculus. I bought the Oculus Rift specifically because it was the cost about what I would have paid for a ticket this year at Burning Man, Mm-hmm. And usually I buy 2 tickets, so it's like half off for me in terms of Burning Man. Mm-hmm. Plus, it's kind of I wanted to have that experience of being on playa and 3D. So I'm not an expert at this at all.
Which I like that. I like that you're not an expert, and here you are building a camp.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I understand computer stuff, and I'm pretty good at computers in general. My degree's in computer information systems. So, but I'm not a programmer. I'm not a 3D. Like, my art in default world is made out of palette woods, and I can kind of play around a little bit in the 3D realm on some of the simple sites to kind of visualize what my work is going to look like and stuff like that. But it does take a little digging with a little bit of know-how to you can go super basic and follow some really easy steps to get yourself a template for just a really generic Burning Man camp, right? And then add to it. And a lot of people are doing that in terms of theme camps. And then they're just adding objects to it and creating. We interviewed the guys over at the
auto bus camp?
Yeah, the art car bus stop camp. Mm-hmm. And their camp's amazing. It's like, holy crap.
Hightower was his name.
Hightower from over there. And he was talking about, he just kind of created the art cars that he has in there just from the simple kits that are already available when you get into build mode for the worlds there.
But there have been some glitches.
Yeah, some of the stuff's hard. I'm still trying to get the media stuff to work and to play YouTube.
A lot of
videos
people
and
are
stuff.
having problems with that, even people with well-developed camps and whatnot. So I think that AltSpace has a lot of work to do. And on the desktop version, mine loads and doesn't freeze on me maybe 10% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I think
rough.
we've just saved AltSpace. I think AltSpace was originally like decommissioned back in 2015.
Correct, yeah.
Or 16 or something like that. And then Microsoft bought it. And then it's just kind of this weird, no one really does the VR stuff. Like the VR is so new and it's really brand new infancy in terms of technology still, right? And it's starting to get into that price point where for the price of a PlayStation or an Xbox, you can jump into it with the Oculus and stuff like that. But it's still really in its infancy, and I think I predict that burners have probably saved AltSpace.
Yeah. Even before the event, there's like 5 people on at any given time. And that said, it's not like there's a ton of people even on now through the Burning Man crowd. I do wish that Burning Man wouldn't have had 8 separate multiverses so that there could be a more centralized location for people to interact and share in an experience. But I do think that when the dust settles and this is all said and done, I think that BRC VR seems to be the most viable form of Burning Man year-round in the virtual realm.
I think so too, and I know like after this week, I want to continue learning about the technology so that I can create art for the playa. You can do these amazing huge pieces that there's no way in hell that I like right now, given my financial resources and where I live, and there's no way I can do that. Like we did a small little piece 2 years ago for Center Camp that was 8 feet tall. And that was a pain in the ass just to get out to the playa. It was a great experience, but holy cow, it was a lot of work.
Sure.
And so I can jump into the 3D realm and as I learn Blender and learn some of the software, be able to create these amazing huge pieces for quote Burning Man in the VR and be able to experience that. That's kind of it. That opens up a lot of really, just for me, really neat opportunity to be able to do that. So I really dig what they're doing. I have to disagree though. The whole multiverse thing, I like it, even though like I'm not really attending some of the other things or some of the technology isn't working for me. Even AltSpace isn't working for some people. It's all kind of hit or miss with it. But the creativity, we were having this conversation today about being creative and being a doer within Burning Man, right? The creativity, like Burning Man provides this platform to say, hey, be creative, and then doesn't really want to tell you how to do that. And I approach my projects the same way. Pirate Radio, Potty Project. What I want to do is say, hey, here's a platform, be creative. Do it your way. But you have to figure it out. Like the Pirate Radio stuff, I've had to figure out. I am not a sound engineer by any stretch of the imagination. This is not what I do for a living. But I had to figure it out and to go do research and to figure out, wow, how do I do this? How do I do that? To be creative. And that's what I'm seeing within the multiverse with Second Life Burn, with the Dusty multiverse, with all these different platforms that people are jumping into to figure out how to be creative, to give experiences. And that's very, very Burning Man. That is just amazing thing. And just like at Burning Man, like, hell, dude, I probably only see, like, if I'm lucky, I get to catch maybe 5% of Burning Man any given year.
People don't understand that when you try to tell them that.
It's totally huge. And to be able to, I don't get to see every single piece of art every year. I see pictures of like, oh, why didn't I check that out? Oh, dude, why didn't I go? Where was that? Right. Why didn't I have that experience? The what is it? MOFO. What is it called? FOMO. The FOMO, fear of missing out, is
even when you're there.
This year, even when you're there, is just and this year with the multiverse stuff, it's just as real and there's just no possible. You have a better opportunity to check things out because this stuff will is permanent. It's more permanent than a week at Burning Man for sure. So, back in October, I can jump into hopefully I can jump into one of these things and check out what people have done and created, so.
Absolutely.
It's a cool thing.
To wrap it up, I would love if you guys would leave us with your personal takeaway from attending Burning Man and Burning Man events.
Merizona, why don't you go? I talk way too much, and she's so much more personable than I am. So.
What's your takeaway from attending Burning Man, the times that you have, and or the regionals?
So for me, it took me 10 years to get to Burning Man. Like when I learned about it until the time I finally got out onto the playa. So it kind of already had this elusive, kind of magical quality that, that not everybody gets to experience. But when you get there, you really do feel like, wow, this is so much bigger than just me, right? And your first year you go as potentially a tourist, and so you're kind of just bobbleheading around, like experiencing everything that you can. But then for you to really get involved and get kind of your roots into Burning Man, getting involved with volunteering is just so much more rewarding. For me anyway, as a burner, because then you kind of become part of the pulse of the city, right? So you kind of get to really dig in and work an event that's just huge, be part of something, be a piece of something that's just, incredible. And then you still get to play, you still get to have those magical moments, but you really do get to kind of create this connection to something so much bigger than yourself. And for me, taking that off of the playa was so important as well. So I didn't want to just be a burner for a week out of the year, right? So when I got back, I instantly found community here in Arizona. I had moved from San Francisco back to Arizona, and I dug right into the community here in Arizona, AZ Burners, and connected with different artists, tried to volunteer, as much as I could, and start going to regionals, and really just kind of broadened my world where I live with people that had that same mindset. So the same Burning Man mindset of like, this is so much bigger than us, and community on the playa, community in where you live, off the playa is so important. So I really think that it helped me tap into something that was already there, but it just kind of created this huge, beautiful light in my life as a person that, I love, and I am so happy to be part of.
Sure. I think that's wonderful. I think taking community and applying it, because when you go to Burning Man, it's so easy to get just comfortable in the situation and participate, and then you go back to your normal life and fall back into a lot of habits that aren't community based. And it's nice to realize that similarly as there is a community out there, there's a community where you reside too, and it's a lot of times has open doors. So that's great that you're able to take away.
And one of the things about the BRCVR that I've really enjoyed is that it kind of does tap into that as well, where you can have those conversations, have those like moments where you get to meet people that you might not normally get to meet, because even at Burning Man you get into a routine. You're in your village, you're in your camp, you hang out with the people there, and you might not broaden out as much as potentially you would say if you were just by yourself, which, that the VR stuff kind of gives you that opportunity to branch out from just even that like comfort level of your own camp, essentially at Burning Man. So it's
sure.
Cool.
Sure. I noticed that when I'm interacting with people at Burning Man, a lot of times you say, "Oh, here's how you can find me," or I'll write this down, and people are writing down your email address or Facebook or whatever, and you never hear from those people. But through this burning experience, we can stop what we're doing. I can go over to your Facebook page, friend you up, or like your pages and your outlets that you're outputting content through, and I've already met so many people where we instantly connected. And I didn't have to say, well, shit, that guy was really cool, but I lost that little tiny piece of paper when I was high as a kite that he gave me with his name on it, you know? So I've definitely taken away way more contacts and way more communication probably from this than I would have otherwise. What about you, Alderaan?
Well, my take just in general of my experience with Burning Man is here I am. I'm going to be that cult guy that I was against when I first heard about it. But Burning Man really has changed my life. It's changed my outlook about the importance of creativity, first of all, about community, about being a part of something that is obviously a lot bigger than I am, but I get to contribute my little thing and my passion to this event and have a great time doing it. The one thing that I would have to say to listeners out there in terms of Burning Man and just life in general is like figure out what your passions are and jump into it. Jump into it for the love of it, and jump into it because it just brings you joy to do, and don't worry about anything else. And that's kind of what I've taken away from Burning Man. It's given me this opportunity, this focus of being creative that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. And because it's done that, it's spilled over into other aspects of my life outside of Burning Man. And it has allowed me to be an artist again, I think, you know, and we all have that capability, and we have not only that capability, but as burners, we have that responsibility too, right? Burning Man, without everybody contributing whatever it is that they can, and not just being a tourist, but being a participant, wouldn't happen. The art wouldn't be out there. It would just be a bunch of us in RVs staring at each other going, what's next, you know? Burning Man happens, your regional burns happen because of the art that you create, because of the experiences you provide. And without you taking on that responsibility of yourself, of contributing back to your community, contributing back to your events, there aren't going to be any, it's just not an event anymore. And so it's something, the difference between what we do as burners as opposed to other events is the difference between a potluck and a buffet, right? We're a potluck. And some people are chefs that bring amazing, wonderful dishes that I can never cook in a lifetime. And wow, that's appreciative. Some of us just bring cookies. Some of us bring soda. Some of us bring a salad because we're vegans or vegetarians and that's what we eat, right? But with potlucks, we need everybody to contribute to that potluck. If you only have 5 people contributing to a potluck with 100 people there, that's a crappy potluck. But if you have 100 people at a potluck contributing 100 things, there's plenty for everybody, and we all get to sample each other's dishes, you know. So don't treat these events like a buffet. I'm not out there to provide for you. You're out there so we can provide for each other and have this experience. So
that's a beautiful way of putting it. As a chubby burner, I think that's a great analogy. So the food, you really won me with the buffet potluck analogy. Thank you for that.
So before we go, can I plug some of the things that we're doing so people can participate, listen to them?
Absolutely. I would love that.
The Pirate Radio, KWPPR, we try to broadcast 24/7. It's not always on, but if you're into that, you can listen to us at sagmanradio.org. That's SAGMANRADIO.org. So did I get that right? Sagman Radio. If you're at Burning Man or at any of the regionals that we attend here in Arizona, you can tune in to at 103.3 FM for that. And also for Potty Project, we're always looking for volunteers and for people to contribute to that. There's 2 ways you can do that. One is through the volunteer board at the burningman.org website on the volunteer page. Look for Potty Project. We're right underneath there with things like gate and greeters and temple guardians now. We're official. You can go there and I'll get your contact information. or feel free to give me an email, drop me an email or friend me on Facebook at Elder Wrong. The Gmail address is elderwrong@gmail.com. So, and that's WRONG. I'm not right, I'm wrong.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this. I love your passion. And thank you so much for sharing your passion with us.
Thank you. I'm going to need to I want to do an interview with you reverse to talk about your passions for the pirate radio and get that recorded. So we'll have to do that.
Open door.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
In my hand, I'm holding the program for Burning Man 2019, iRobot. We are going to flip through the book and with our fingers select a couple of events and read them out loud.
Monday at 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Movie night. Join us for Galaxy Quest. Never give up, never surrender. Bring a folding chair if you've got one, your favorite snack, and your trusty playa cup and join the awesomeness. Ludus Symposium, 6 o'clock in Center Camp Plaza.
Monday from 2 o'clock p.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. Get lit, virgin mixer, and regifting. Forgot something at home? Come get decked out in hats, lights, jewelry, and more. Our veteran burners will be around to answer your lingering cues. Teddy's 4:30 in Portal.
Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Let your hair down. Girl, you're still looking cute, but let's take a minute and fix the look before you hurt yourself. Early weaving hair salon with drinks and smooth tunes. Therapy salon and volume bar. Electro and 715. Thank you for listening to Galaxy Tenants. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. For early access to episodes and exclusive content, check us out on Patreon. Also, if you'd like to communicate with us, send an email to galaxytenants@gmail.com or leave a voicemail on the Galaxy Tenants hotline at 303-550-2065.
You've reached the Galaxy Tenants hotline. Please leave a message.